Hey there, folks. This is Lucifer Leghorn coming back at you with another video. So sorry, allergies going. Something has happened recently, and I did have another video explaining this, talking about this, but that never got aired and whatnot. So I'm making a new one because I actually have more follow-up information. So really quickly, if you notice me wiping my nose, rubbing my eyes or whatnot, my allergies are kicking in. It's getting into springtime here, and today my allergies are just going crazy. So if you see me doing any of that, that's what that's all about. I need to take some allergy meds. So really quickly, everybody has probably heard the news, the rumors running around, and I will be providing links down below. STS has expanded in a new direction. Now, everybody knows that we took over the Cloven Hoof and whatnot. That was a really big move, a really good surprise move. We found out that we could do that. But recently, and we've been keeping this on the hush-hush and the down low, and in the next issue of the Cloven Hoof, we will be talking about it. We will be talking about what this new thing is, and this has been in the works for months now. And what it basically is we took over the Cult of Cthulhu. Now, as everybody knows, I have been a supporter of the Cult of Cthulhu up until recently. That I was a supporter of Wyntre up until recently. But I was always saying that he seemed like he had been somehow inspired by the same influences as Vengar Satanis, because his books seem to mirror point for point Vengar Satanis. Now, in email conversations with Wyntre, I had asked him point blank, was he ever a member of Vengar's group? Because I used to be a member of Vengar Satanis's Cthulhu cult, which eventually became the Cult of Cthulhu. And Wyntre had flat out said, no, he had never been part of Vengar's group. Well, things came to light where, it turned out he had lied about that. And yes, he had been part of the group. Yes, he was part of the original forums that Vengar had run for many years, and which are still up and running. We have them linked on the Cult of Cthulhu website, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. So, up until recently, I was a very big supporter of Wyntre. And then there was the falling out of the Cult of Cthulhu at the beginning of the year that spawned into the Temple of the Old Ones. Well, eventually a second schism happened inside the Temple of the Old Ones between Wyntre's two top guys. One of these top guys is a close personal friend of mine, and we have just gotten to be even closer personal friends. He is now a member of the Satanic Bible Society because he left the temple because the other individual, who is named D. Niff, ran him out. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat that. That is the story that I was told. That is how I understood it and whatnot. Thaumaturge, Adam, had a project that he was lining up with his own finances, his own personal funds, and Dee tried to horn in on it and tried to tell him, no, you can't do this, you got to do it this way. And, Thaumaturge said, fuck you, I will do it the way I see fit. It is a project that I have put forth my own funds to. You do not have any say to it. And he left, and then he came to me. And he joined STS, and he was up in Ohio with us. He got his ordainment, and now he is the grotto master for STS in Illinois. Awesome. But he's also the head of the Viridian order. Okay, now what is the Viridian Order? The Viridian Order was originally going to be a secondary project with STS. Now, as people may or may not know, STS is reaching into all the denominations of LaVeyan Satanism. The main branches of LaVeyan Satanism that are not atheistic, and we're cultivating our own versions. Well, the Viridian Order falls into one of these versions called Cthulianism. Now, Cthulianism is a version of LaVeyan Satanism that Anton LaVey did not mean to create. If anything, it inspired a lot of LaVey's work. Lovecraft inspired a lot of LaVey's work, and LaVey created some rituals and concepts from the Haunter in the Dark, the Church of Starry Wisdom, and a few other things, and accidentally created this subgenre of Satanism based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft. For the longest time, it was called Lovecraftian Satanism. But it eventually spun up, and Vengar Satanis, in the mid to late 2000s, created from Satanism and what he could gather together of LaVey's works and everything, and created Cthulianism, which is actually based on Anton LaVey's works. I have featured Vengar's books on this channel. I don't have them with me right now. They're actually out by my computer right now. The only books that I have in here is the red-bound edition of the Bible of Cthulhu, which I will get to in a minute, as well as the Order of Dagon book, which I have previously reviewed on this channel as well. So Vengar created the original Cult of Cthulhu, and I was one of the earliest members in that cult. This was back during the My Satan era, a little bit before that, and they are the oldest actual organization of Cthulianism around. There is other organizations that have been around for quite a while. The first Church of Cthulhu or whatnot, something like that. Absolutely ridiculous, but they were the first ones to be legally recognized by the United States. However, the Cult of Cthulhu is the oldest of the actual direct Cthulian organizations. They are not the oldest organization inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. That goes to the esoteric Order of Dagon, which goes back to the 60s. 60s, 70s, and 80s, something in there. And they're still around, but they're different. They're not exactly, they take their name inspiration from H.P. Lovecraft, but I'm not exactly sure how much of Lovecraft they incorporate into their actual practices. As far as I understand it, their practices are actually Mesopotamian and refer to the actual deity Dagon, which was one of the few actual deities that Lovecraft wrote about in his books. Cthulianism is based very heavily on Anton LaVey's Satanism, which Anton LaVey's Satanism is based very heavily on multiple different sources, but takes a lot of inspiration from H.P. Lovecraft. Whole cycle there. Wyntre was part of that group. I was an earlier member in it, and Wyntre, after Vengar left, created his own version of the Cult of Cthulhu, which is what I supported for quite some time until all the shit hit the fan earlier this year. So that leads everybody up to present day. The Temple of the Old Ones was spawned off of the Cult of Cthulhu, and Thaumaturge was part of it. He had a conflict with D-Nith and left to join and joined STS. we started working on a project together to create a version of a branch of STS that would honor the Cthulhu mythos with Venger's core material, as well as new material written by Thaumaturge, and we would mix it together and create our own branch. Well, in researching a lot of this, we realized there was no copyrights to the Cult of Cthulhu, the Bible of Cthulhu, and the only copyright holder that could legally really be seen was the artist, Juan Carlos Porcel, that made all the artwork in the Bible of Cthulhu. Now, if you watched my live stream video on the actual STS Facebook page, you know that I own all that artwork now. You know the story. Juan gave us, the copyrights. He signed the copyrights over to me. I am the legal copyright holder of the artwork, and it's been registered in the United States as being my property. Now, that means I'm not beholden to Juan for anything. I own all the legal copyrights. However, what I've gone ahead and done, because it's only fair, and I'll get into why it's only fair, is I have agreed to give Juan, out of any time I use his artwork, whether it's the stuff that I own the copyrights to or not, I will give Juan a percentage of royalties for the use of his work, no matter what type of work it is. If I use his work in anything, he will get a percentage of the royalties. And this is something that I have agreed to do voluntarily. There doesn't need to be any contracts for it. There doesn't need to be anything like that. I'm under no responsibility to do that. I'm choosing to do it. And I'll tell you exactly why. And it goes into something that has happened as of today. There was a conflict between myself and Deaneth a few days ago where harsh words were exchanged. I told him, listen, I own the cult now. The old Facebook group is technically cult property. I need you to unlock it. And he refused to. And then he tried to lie to me directly to my face, saying that he couldn't unlock it, that all of his admin rights had been taken away. I showed him that he was a liar. I called him out on being a liar, and I've exposed him to the Temple of the Old Ones council members and expressed to them how he is lying and why he's lying. My belief is that he is still in contact with Wyntre. The Temple of the Old Ones, they have heard what I had to say. Of course, there's some pushback from them, but they are investigating. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Do I have a beef with D? Do I have a personal vendetta? Yes, I do. I openly admit that. I have a personal vendetta with this man because he has stepped on me several times and tried to push his weight around with me just to push his agenda. I can only take that so much. I'm willing to be a nice guy, but when you push me too far, I'm going to step up, and when I have something against you, I'm going to bring it. And that's exactly what I did. So D, as of today, when he found out that I own all the copyrights and whatnot, he brings up this contract between Wyntre and Juan that says that Wyntre owns all the copyrights, that Juan doesn't have any right to sell the copyrights to anybody else. He can't even keep any of the artwork. He has to destroy it and all this other stuff. And we read it through. Wyntre signed it, but not Juan. Okay? Now, it's obvious that D is going to claim that he got this from a different source. However, I don't believe it. I'm going to be open and honest with that. I don't believe it. I believe Wyntre handed him this article of paperwork because there was talks between the council months ago when Dee and the council tried to get the rights to the Bible of Cthulhu and the artwork, and they couldn't do it for some reason, and Dee made up a bunch of excuses, but he never produced anything. And, all of a sudden today he can produce something. And it's a half-signed contract. Now, me and Thaumaturge, we went through this contract with a fine-tooth comb. And I'm going to tell you what, there is so many holes in this contract that it makes a porn star getting her back door rammed by this look tight. Yeah. You got holes big enough to drive a Mack truck through. Okay? The very first hole is that at no point in time does it give the full name of Juan or Wyntre at all. Juan lives in South America. Wyntre lives in Australia. So there needs to be some sort of documentation of where these two contract individuals live. The way that the contract is written up, one would believe that Juan lives in Australia, but that is not the case. He doesn't live in Australia and has never lived in Australia. So, yeah. The contract also creates a binding deal that says Wyntre was responsible to pay Juan 20% of royalties of all sales. Well, Wyntre has sold hundreds, if not thousands, of copies of the Bible of Cthulhu, and he has merchandise featuring Juan's artwork all over the place, all over his website. And we learned today, directly from Juan, Wyntre has only paid him one time a sum of $500. And that was last year. That was the only time Wyntre ever paid him money out of anything, was $500 last year for royalties. We're talking about thousands of books, thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands or more, possibly into the hundreds of thousands, that Juan is owed at least 20% of. At our lowest calculation, we estimate Juan is owed anywhere between $16,000 and $18,000 in royalties from Wyntre. Royalties that Wyntre has failed to pay. Now, Wyntre has made excuses after excuses after excuses, apparently, to other people, saying that Lulu was the one that was supposed to be sending the books out or whatnot to customers. Customers have said that and I have a whole list of people in Facebook comments and whatnot. Customers have told me flat out in emails, Facebook comments, that they made an order for one of Wyntre's books or merchandise and never got it. This is merchandise that was overpriced and they never got it. And so, Wyntre has been getting this money and not sending out this merchandise. And then he blames Lulu, who he claims was the printing agency for the book. Okay, so if Lulu's the printing agency, why are you only selling this book on your website? And then quite recently, eBay. Why is that? Why are you doing it that way? Why not let Lulu directly handle all the sales? Why not put your book on Amazon and let Amazon handle sales and distribution? Let Lulu handle sales and distribution. Why are you handling the distribution personally? And then why are you not fulfilling orders? Okay, no documentation has been kept with how many books have been sold or how much merchandise has been sold, because you are not letting, Wyntre was not letting these companies that supposedly he was going through handle the merchandise and handle distribution for him. With my books, just say my books per se. Like, I have a red grimoire right here. This book right here, it is handled and distributed by Lulu and Amazon. I don't handle distribution of this. I don't handle printing of this or anything. They keep track of sales. They keep track of distribution, and then they disperse the money to me. I don't handle any of that until the money comes to me. None of that comes to me at all. I don't have any hands-on in that process. I'm just the writer and the designer and whatnot. I upload it to a website, and they produce that stuff and send it out. So Wyntre wasn't doing this, and he was pocketing all this money and never paid out royalties to anybody. His artists, nobody. And he was failing to send out merchandise. Because I know from experience that if you go through Lulu or Amazon, they are a business, and if they fail to produce a piece of merchandise, if they fail to deliver, you can call them up and complain, and they will replace that order. They will look into their records and confirm, oh yes, you did make an order, we fucked up. That wasn't going on. No. So, yeah, that really sketchy stuff was going on right there. With this contract, there is so many holes. And then the biggest loophole of the contract was the final part where it says applicable law. And it states right there in the contract that the contract is only viable and enforceable exclusively, and he uses that word exactly, exclusively in the jurisdiction of Australia, of the federal government of Australia. They are the only ones who can enforce the contract. No other government in the world, because it uses the term exclusively. So you have a contract that has multiple failed loopholes, multiple ends were failed to be met, but especially monies were not paid out. It has a failure to adequately identify the parties involved. Okay, you have Wyntre's true last name, not even his first name, I don't believe. It might be his first name, but not his last name. And you have Juan's first name, but not his full name. It fails to identify where these parties live, what countries they live in, which is a huge fuck up. It stipulates conditions that were not met by either party, because it did stipulate that Juan had to destroy or turn over all of his work files for the artwork so he can never distribute it again. And he never did so. He kept that like a good artist does. He kept hold of that, whether he was supposed to destroy it or not. That's kudos to Juan. And I would tell any artist, never, never, never hand over all of your work files. You keep a copy of that for yourself. And then the next thing is that Wyntre was supposed to pay Juan thousands of dollars and has never done so. He's only paid him $500 grand total, from my understanding. So yeah, there was a lot of conditions not met in this contract. And then it says it's exclusive to the jurisdiction of Australia. And then it's only signed by one party that I can see. Okay. Yeah. That's not an enforceable contract. There is no way that that could be used. Meaning, I still own all the artwork. Now that I've spent almost 10, 12, 15 minutes explaining all that, so that's what I had to deal with all today. Denith, after being a jackass a few days ago, tries to come at Thaumaturge with that, because I blocked D. I don't want anything to do with the guy. I think it's better that in order to avoid any further stupidity, that I block the individual and whatnot, because the conflict him and I had really was stupid, and I've been told it was stupid by certain members of the temple as well, and even I called it out as being stupid in the argument. I flat out said, dude, this is stupid. Why are we arguing about a fucking Facebook group where all you have to do is just go in, unlock it for a moment, change the name by one word, and then lock it back up and be done with the damn thing? You know, I wouldn't have cared if he even took that group and did whatever he wants with it. But no, he has his own reasons for wanting to do something there, and he didn't want to do it. And so I pointed all that out to the other council members in the temple, and they're investigating it. So that's what I've been dealing with all day long today. Cult of Cthulhu is back. You can go check out our announcement. We had some really great people in there that are on the Temple Council who were former cultists in the Cult of Cthulhu. They were curious about what we are doing in the cult, and you'll be able to find out all the full details and whatnot. We brought the Cult of Cthulhu under the STS banner. It is now considered a branch of the STS. Under its own name, and we're hoping, right now we have to emphasize that this is an STS owned company, but as time goes on, we're hoping to get the STS material as a lot more subdued on the website, as well as put the satanic material, because it is Satanism, into the proper places where it's there and it's obvious, but it's not like right up in your face saying this is Satanism, okay? Because that does really make a lot of people uncomfortable, and I get that. Seeing a sigil of the Baphomet on some of this stuff is not going to be, something that a lot of people feel comfortable with. But that's exactly what it is. So we're producing new books for it. There was a debate whether or not we wanted to get the copyrights to the actual manuscript to the Bible of Cthulhu and then protect that, but we're up in the air with it. We believe that now Wyntre knows that he's fucked up with that. He's lost the rights to the artwork legally, and there's nothing he can do about it. And so he's going to go and probably seek copyrights for his manuscript, which I wholeheartedly encourage him to do. We do have some artwork that is still floating around out there that is technically the intellectual property of the cult, but at this point, we're not going to seek it. We're just going to say, hey, you know what? We're going to let everything rest, and then we're going to revisit it in about a year or so, see what's legal, see what's not, and then we will talk about possibly reacquiring it quietly then. And until then, we've got what we want. We've got everything in hand, and it's all perfectly legal, and that's where we're going to leave it be for now. So Cult of Cthulhu is back, and it's back in the same form that Vengar wanted it. We've been in contact with Wyntre. He seems really happy to see that we're carrying on the legacy. He's given us permission to use some of his material and his artwork, and for certain things, and we're definitely implementing that, and we look forward to working with him in the future on certain things. So that's going to be really, really good. I really do hope that works out, and it's going to be really fun. It really is going to be fun. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. Check out the Cult of Cthulhu. We are literally called the official Cult of Cthulhu. And that's officialcultofcthulhu.com. Okay? And I'll provide the link for it down below. And go ahead and check that stuff out. Things that we are going to be doing in the not too distant future. We're working on membership certificates. We have a membership card designed up, so we're going to start producing those here within the next couple days. The first prototypes are going to get made Probably tomorrow or the next day, we're going to get some prototypes made up, check them out, get them functional. I'm still working on this next issue of the Cloven Hoof, which is going to be a 60-page issue. It's going to be talking about events that had happened all throughout the month of April, leading up to the culmination of the Black Mass that happened in Eaton, Ohio, by us. That was really great to do. We had death whistles that went off there. We had like 4 different death whistles plus this shofar that was being blown at the same time in this place. It was an absolutely amazing thing to hear. And then, so we got an article that's going to be talking about that. This entire Cloven Hoof is going to be talking about stuff from Ohio, the whole Ohio experience, the whole month of April leading up to that, from the 8th of April to the 30th of April, where we just, it was absolute, April was a chaotic month for me. I'm still recovering from it, and we're halfway through May. So that tells you how interesting that was. And throughout all of that, we were acquiring the Cult of Cthulhu during all that. So that it's going to be great. It really is going to be great to see how things work out with the cult. We are working on several books. Thaumaturge is doing the final touches on the Black Book of Nyarlathotep, which we were hoping to get out within a month or so, but now it's looking like it's going to be August by the time that's out. We're hoping that it comes back sooner, but he doesn't want to rush his artist and whatnot. I'm going to be working on like 2 or 3 books. The next book that I am going to be working on is going to be called The Viridian Grimoire, which is going to be the next book in my grimoire series, and it will be completely Cthulian based. We're talking about rituals that were made by LaVey, rituals that were made within the Temple of Set, that we have access to that material, and we're going to be retooling them, reworking them, and also possibly bring back some Avengers material for it and new material if we have anything to present there. We will be presenting it in the next book in the grimoire series called the Viridian Grimoire. So you can imagine what that's going to look like. It's going to have a green cover, and it's going to have all sorts of interesting stuff going on. That's going to be the book that I'm writing. I'm also, after that, we are working on another book project for the cult, and it is going to be a massive project. I'm not going to talk about what it is right now. I want to kind of keep it hush hush right now, but so this massive book project, I can tell you my goal for it is to make it thicker than the 3rd edition of the Satanic Testament. And if I can, I'm going to make it at, it's going to be like standard letter size pages. So you can imagine like a book that you would go to a gaming store and buy for RPGs and whatnot, a rule book for that. It's going to be something along that size. So it's going to be much bigger than my normal A5 style books that I publish. This thing's going to be big, and it's going to be thick. We have a lot of material that we're going to be putting into that, and I'm not going to reveal what that book is until we're a lot closer to finishing it, and we're hoping that it's going to be a really decently sized book. At the bare minimum, I want to match the Satanic Testament in thickness. If not, make it thicker, make it bigger than that, and so it's going to be a nice big chunky book. That's what I have for you today. Thank you for bearing with me for almost 35 minutes. Actually, it's going to be 35 minutes by the time I get out of here. And, tell me what you think in the comments down below. You guys know the routine. Like, share, subscribe. I look forward to seeing you guys again. And if you like my content, if you're interested in the Cult of Cthulhu, if you're interested in Satanic Thulian Society and learning what we're about, seeing how we're growing and whatnot, go check out our websites. They'll both be linked there. I will be linking the latest issue of the Cloven Hoof that's presently out. Go pick up a copy of that. 50% of proceeds from that issue actually go to Sharon LaVey to help mitigate the cost from Stanton's funeral. So go help her out and whatnot. Everybody who's bought a copy of that has been really great. It's been our best-selling copy yet. Until next time, my name's Lucifer Lake of Orden. I'm the High Priest of the Satanic Thulian Society and the new High Priest of the Cult of Cthulhu. And I will see you guys later. Ultima Thule, Ave Satanis, and Cthulhu Fatagan. May you rise.